AI is interesting. A lot of travel companies are leaning into that, right? There's a lot of providers out there right now to help you with travel planning.
And is there, if you were to look at a heat map of where you'd say, hey, we're super strong in these markets and that's kind of our core business, or core business is strong, but like you're super strong in those regions, what would those be?
And really put ourselves in the shoes of what some of these frontline agents do. And I mean, I'm telling you, I'm exhausted when I walk out of there. You know, just the questions you have to field and the variety of problems. And
Welcome to the Westbound podcast. My name is Matthias Oertzen, founder and managing director of the Oertzen Group. Each month, we bring you international business leaders to share their personal and professional journey in North America. Thank you for spending time with us. And now, let's get to it.
Welcome to the Westbound podcast, where we serve the European business community. I'm really excited to talk about my favorite airline today. My guest today is the Chief Commercial Officer for Delta Vacations, Katrin Koenig. Thank you so much for joining the Westbound podcast.
Great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, absolutely. We just had a delicious lunch at an Italian restaurant, so that goes along with the vacation theme, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn about you, your transition or your journey into the US. But then also about Delta and Delta Vacations and everything that is in your responsibility there. So why don't we start a little bit about how you progressed from your home country of Germany to the US?
Yeah, happy to talk about that. I've been here for a long time. I think the same amount of time that you've been here since 2005. Grew up in Eastern Germany, really, really small town called Plauen. Some of your listeners actually might know that town. Went to University of Bayreuth. Within my studies, I went to New Zealand, where I met my now husband, who is American, who introduced me to this wonderful country. I graduated in Bayreuth. I came to the US, like many of us, with an internship, given some of the visa constraints. Been with Lufthansa during my internship and really knew very early on that travel is really where I want to be and where my heart lies. Did a little detour with Riddle and Partner, was actually on the path to get my CPA license, but then realized very quickly this may not be what I want to do. Look at numbers.
So even though you like numbers, it's a little bit too many numbers.
Too many numbers. Okay. I would like to combine it, which I then did. I stayed in Atlanta, got my MBA, and got introduced to Delta Airlines and fell in love more and more the more people I talked to, and then started my career 14 years ago with Delta Airlines, mainly in revenue management, so back with numbers in the travel field. Did another detour in Amsterdam for 4 years, and then came back and been at Delta Vacations for 3 years now.
Ah, excellent. Very good. So Atlanta is very near and dear to your heart, working for Delta. It's one of the Atlanta powerhouses, so to say. As I said in the introduction, I fly exclusively Delta. Really enjoy.
Glad to hear that.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
I'm a diamond medallion. Yeah, I really enjoy the airline. I really enjoy the service. It's a great company, and so I was really excited to get you on here and talk a little bit about Delta Vacations. What they have to offer. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the history of Delta Vacations and where it's now.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So Delta Vacations started as MLT Vacations based in Minneapolis, and was really a charter business. Like back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, where you chartered flights, you tried to fill them with lots of groups and bring them to all-inclusive resorts in Mexico and the Caribbean. That's how it all started. Northwest Airlines took it over, and then with the merger with Delta, MLT became Delta Vacations and moved to Atlanta. It's now a full subsidiary of Delta Airlines. And what we do is offer package vacations. So we use the Delta flight or one of the flights with our JV partners and bundle it with a transfer, a hotel, an activity, what you may choose for your vacation. Give you then that package price. We service you from the moment you step on the plane through the hotel and the full experience. And I'm really leaning into people like you, our Medallion and SkyMiles customer, because you can earn MQD status and miles with every Delta vacation. You can even pay with miles for part or all of the trip with Delta vacations. But like Delta, I'm very, very focused really on customer care, on customer experience. It's really, really important for us, and really fine-tuned a lot of what we sell, especially coming out of COVID. Operate more in the premium segment, so 4- and 5-star resorts, and continuously expanding out of the sun and fun into more of the international destinations.
Very cool. That's interesting. So really the start of this was to fill flights, right? If you go all the way back, where now it's very catered around customer experience along with filling flights probably.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And then so you mentioned sun and fun. So there's a clear distinction between certain travelers, right? Like, can you talk a little bit about that? Like what your core customer is and what you're looking for?
It's very, very diversified. We kind of want to offer what our SkyMiles member or Medallion member wants to use for their vacation. So historically, it's been your 1 week or 10 days vacation in an all-inclusive resort in Mexico, the Caribbean, and Hawaii. But since then, we really noticed people want more than that, right? They want experiential travel. They want new continents to explore. So we have really expanded where Delta goes. Every time Delta launches a new route or destination, we are in lockstep with Delta on building out that destination. Some of those recent examples is Morocco. Delta just started a few weeks ago flying to Marrakesh, so Delta Vacation is there. We are building out Porto, Malta, Sardinia as we speak to be ready for the route launch next summer.
That's so cool. Every time I drive to the airport coming from the north of Atlanta, right before you get to Atlantic Station, this is really Atlanta specific, but there's a really big billboard, and Delta always announces, we now have a direct flight to, and then whatever the destination is. And so interesting. We talked about this at lunch as well. So every time there's a new route offered, really there's either a discussion prior and or afterwards. You are then tasked with your team to build experience travel for that new destination, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So tell us a little bit about how that process works. It's so curious to me, so interesting to me. Let's say you fly to Marrakesh now, and then what happens next? Like you send parts of your team?
Yeah, we send our team, and we have a very experienced product team, and this is what they do. They are our first contact with all of our external partners. So they will contact the hotels that are, for example, in Marrakesh, and they will fly there. 1 person or 2 people will fly there. Really experience the destination, and the first thing we do is find a destination management company. Those are in-destination providers that really know a lot about the destination. They have all the relationships. They know what camel tours to book that will fit within our profile. They know what transport company we can use to get our customers from the airport to the hotel. And they build all these connections. They experience it for themselves. As I said, the customer satisfaction is very, very important to us. And then we feed it into our system, and then it comes online and you can book it.
You can book it. That's so interesting. And is there a focus on kind of going for the all-inclusive? Let's say you have a new destination. Let's take care of the all-inclusive business first. Let's get our feet wet, so to say, in that market, and then kind of go more into the experimental kind of travel? Or how is there, what is the roadmap into a new country or city, so to say, destination?
It definitely depends on the destination. So there are certain destinations where all-inclusive is not really big, like our city tours in London or Rome or Paris. All-inclusive is really not an option. But then there are certain destinations where all-inclusive is the majority of hotels that are offered. So obviously we want to be there, but we are trying to really offer a variety, because not every traveler is created equal. And we even talked earlier a little bit about, what you prefer when you travel versus what I prefer when I travel. And that can be quite different. There is a lot of customers today want that individual piece, right? They don't want to feel like part of being a big crowd.
Yeah.
And all-inclusive places have actually tried to cater a little bit more to that individual traveler, but we see a lot build out in those European plan hotels, even in all-inclusive destinations, like in Mexico. There's a lot of hotels that now offer you breakfast only, but for the rest, you're free to eat at the restaurant of your choosing, or you can even go off-site in Playa del Carmen, where you maybe, have the city right there. So we try to also mimic that in what we offer. So a little bit of everything for everyone.
Yeah, that's awesome. And is there, if you were to look at a heat map of where you would say, hey, we're super strong in these markets and that's kind of our core business, or core business is wrong, but like you're super strong in those regions, what would those be?
So it is still the Sun and Fun. So it's definitely still our Dominican Republic, Mexico, and Jamaica is really strong in Hawaii. But then obviously the big European hubs where we have a lot of partner capacity that goes in. So as I mentioned, like London, Paris, and Rome are big sellers for us. In the US, we sell a lot of Florida and Las Vegas. Those are big destinations. But we are building out a lot of new ones. So this year, what we really had focused on, there was a lot of domestic build out. So Phoenix and the surrounding area
Sonoma,
to really
those kind of areas.
Yeah.
Okay.
So really these driving, some of these driving destinations. New York we have built out. We see a lot of people going to New York, but we need to have more activities. People want to do things and not just stay in a hotel while they are in New York. Puerto Rico we have built out. Greek Islands is a big one. And the UK, outside of London, a lot of people want to go to the UK, but they want to drive around. They want to go to the more isolated places. That has been a big focus. Our next frontier is Asia, though.
Okay.
So we are really expanding. I mean, if you see any travel blog, or at least over the last year, Asia is really mentioned
Japan
a lot.
Being like super. That probably has to do also with the exchange rate. I think the yen is suffering. So, but
Yeah.
in my private circle, I know of like several people that have gone to Japan.
Yeah. And what we want to do when you go to Japan is not just Tokyo and Kyoto, right? A lot of people want to go down from north to south, and you could actually envision them then going over to South Korea and flying out from there and making it a wholesome trip. So we are trying to build that out.
Interesting, very interesting. How do your customers usually find you? Like, what are the avenues to get to Delta Vacations?
Yeah, so there are 3 different ways you can book us. Maybe I'll start with that. So the first is through a travel agent. So if you usually plan your travel with a travel agent, they will guide you to Delta Vacations. Usually when you come as a SkyMiles customer or Medallion customer, that should be the first choice of tour operator for you as a customer. You can call in. We have our own reservation center with very experienced reservation agents that can help you. Or you can go online on deltavacations.com.
Yeah, interesting. And I was really surprised to hear at lunch that the travel agent business is still very much well and alive. I mean, in the times of Expedia and what's another one? I can't even think of another one, but there's other ones.
But in the time of AI planners that's obviously a big topic in our industry.
Yeah, so you still see lots of people that, let's say, older folks, they probably go to their established travel agent. And then I could imagine that through influencers, you're probably seeing a lot of experiential kind of travel booked through them, right?
Yes. There's a lot of new travel agents that use social media to really attract a new customer set. And they have very specialized travel groups. It's like women only or singles only or, certain golfers only, like certain groups of travelers that they attract. And I think when you, as a travel agent, find that specialized niche, you usually attract that group, all ages, really. So there is this perception, it is a dying arm of travel, but we actually don't see that. I think there's always a certain group that prefer to have something planned through a travel agent, especially maybe people that don't travel a lot. Like if you have never left the country, maybe you feel a little bit more comfortable, someone that guides you along the way and tells you what you need to watch out for.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting, especially as we're headed into AI. I think that's inevitable, that that will play a large part of our lives. But then again, in any industry, you have this highly personalized, catered specifically to segment. I think that's going to be the same in our industry, actually, recruiting. That will very much still be alive. Yeah, that's so interesting how that works. Yeah,
it will be, and AI is interesting. A lot of travel companies are leaning into that. Right, there's a lot of providers out there right now to help you with travel planning. And that's all good, and I see a lot of use cases and actually benefit of using AI for that. Where AI, I think, can't help is when things go wrong. I think you can book travel with anyone, really, right? But where you really shine or where you really separate the good from the best is when things go wrong and who has your back. And that's a lot of things that AI can't really solve for you, right? Yeah. That needs that human connection. I mean, we just worked the last weeks through the Jamaica disaster.
Yeah, what an unfortunate event, yeah.
It was really, really bad, but the amount of, with technology being almost absent, right? People trying to find cell phone service, electricity not restored. It was these human connections and that word of mouth and some of those things that really helped us to get our customers out. But it's in things like that where I think you will still shine without AI.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And you, I think you mentioned one other very interesting aspect earlier. It's for the traveler that maybe is, we talked a little bit personally, and then I was saying that I feel comfortable in Europe, organizing my own travel since I'm from there and been to many of the countries. But if I were to go to Asia, certain countries, I think, or probably also Africa, we talked about safaris or something like that, I would probably want to heavily lean on a service like yours, to have a more, set plan, so to say, to follow. Yeah. What are some of the destinations that you thought were just spectacular or have a really unique value in your opinion?
Oh, there are just so many. The one that are on my wish list, maybe we talk about that a little bit on my travel list. I'm going to New Zealand next week actually for the Thanksgiving break. Very excited. I obviously been there during college, but that was when the first Lord of the Ring movie came out, so a long time ago. And a lot has happened there, so I'm very excited about that. Some of the things that we have built out, when I look at it, I was like, I really want to go there. Is Puerto Rico was one of those. It's just a nice destination where you can stay in a hotel and have everything taken care of, and just even find a lot of joy and beach around at your hotel. But it's also very safe to venture out and have these cultural experiences. You can go on these bioluminescent tours. The team has sent me pictures of it, where you go out at night and you dip your hand in the water and it's all blue, which is amazing. That's really on my list. And then we recently added these under canvas tent properties, so glamping, which was really big during COVID, but it has since even evolved from that. Yeah. And super unique properties, and really either in the national park or right next to it, and still offers a yoga class. It's not just maybe camping, but you can also have some amenities that you sometimes get in a hotel. Yeah. I would love to try that. Interesting.
So this would be, they are within some of the national parks, like Yellowstone, or close to like Yellowstone or any of the other
Most
ones?
Of them, yeah. I mean, pretty much all of, I think, the national parks are now covered by these under canvas properties.
Oh, wow. That's
very seasonal, though, obviously.
With the weather, sure. That makes absolute sense. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, that's so good. Are you in the cruise business as well? Is that something? No.
We are not. Okay. This is something we wanna dip into. Obviously, I mean, travel, the biggest piece of travel that's growing is cruise, a ton of bigger ships, lots of capacity. Yeah. We would like to be in it. It's a very, very complex business. When you think about a hotel room, some hotels have already 30 hotel categories when you book them. I mean, ships have 10 times sometimes that. So it's quite complex. So we're looking at that. Delta has Delta Cruises. So if there is a product out there for a Delta customer.
But it's not
which is separate. It's not packaged.
Okay.
It's just a cruise product.
Okay, but it's not. They don't own their own ships, right? Or do they?
No.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
It's a big cruise portfolio that you can book into.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
I was just something came to mind too with the glamping that you mentioned. So I'm assuming then if you talk about the sun and fun segment, you're probably dealing with the large, Iberostar, Barcelos, those kind of. Now you go into the glamping stuff. Is this regional operators or is this actually large corporations that have gone into the glamping business, so to say?
Yeah, so I think Under Canvas started as a smaller individual owned, but Hilton has purchased these properties and put a big branding.
Okay.
Branding over it, and now they go under the Hilton umbrella, so you can,
that's very interesting. Okay, so will make sense if there's a big, if you can make $180 a night for someone sleeping in a tent, probably makes sense to acquire that business. Yeah, okay.
Exactly, and put your customer experience lens on it. Yeah,
okay,
now it is. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah, you mentioned a hotel where there was capsules hanging from a mountain.
Oh yeah, that goes into that experiential travel that a lot of people now are seeking. We just had a team go down to South America because we want to build out Peru and Machu Picchu with Delta and LATAM more and more service into South America. And we are adding, the team went out to look at those unique places that you can't find anywhere. And they found this hotel is like basically little glass pods that hang from the cliffside of a mountain, where you check in a lobby that's in the valley, but then you hike up to these pods to sleep there at night, and you can zip line in the morning into the lobby to have breakfast.
Okay, yeah.
Not for me. I would never be able to sleep in anything like that, but it's very unique, and there is a customer out there, adventure travel, especially in Peru.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that case, then you're not dealing with a Hilton or Barcelona. That probably is a small boutique hotel, right? That you, I'm just thinking about the complexity of having 500 people be interested in this hotel and then having to deal with that boutique hotel, but at the same time also dealing with someone like Hilton or Barcelo. So how large is your staff that you're working with?
So we have on the Delta Vacation side, we have over 600 employees. We have half of that is in our reservation center, really taking bookings, but a lot on customer care. And then the rest is really divided up. We have every single department you will find in any big corporation. So we have our product team, we have a sales team, revenue management team, we have our own IT team, HR, finance, everything you can imagine.
Yeah.
Marketing. Sorry, I should not forget marketing. Never forget marketing.
Yeah, that's true. As far as the competition, I'm trying to think right now. I've been approached by obviously American Express. They're making a big push for you to. Although I've often found that the pricing is inflated. Going through American Express, then of course you can go by yourself, going through someone like Expedia or something else. Who are your largest competitors? Who does this? Are the other airlines doing this?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting competitive space, and that has really changed a lot over the last years. And is still a lot of the tour operators are going through major transformations right now to really see who they want to serve and how they want to serve it. So when you think of a tour operator, so someone that offers packaged vacations, so bundling all the different components together under one price and servicing model. The largest competitor is probably Apple Leisure Group, and Pleasant Holidays, which is smaller than us, but they're very specialized in Hawaii, but really expanding quite a bit.
And you would probably only have heard of them if you had inquired with your travel agent about a Hawaii vacation, right? I mean, because I have never heard of them. So,
yes, you would. And then you have a Costco too. There's Costco as well, which is member only. A little bit. We are not member only, but we are member specialized. They are direct customers. So you have the travel agent, tour operators, then you have some direct operators or direct booking platforms like Costco. But then you have airline operators where Southwest Vacations, American Vacations, United Vacations, and JetBlue Vacations. are in our competitive set, but a lot of them don't serve the travel agent community. So we are kind of a little bit of a unicorn in that tour operator space from that perspective.
So is Condor for Lufthansa, is that the Sun and Fun segment? Because Condor is owned by Lufthansa, right?
Yeah,
and that's the Sun and Fun segment, right? Because they're doing all the Mediterranean. I think that's what they're doing. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
And the biggest German, I mean, I think Thomas Cook, right, was one of the biggest, and TUI, you know,
TUI,
or some of the biggest like European and German.
And Thomas Cook, I think, went belly up.
Yeah. He went belly up quite a few years ago. I think it must have been, was it pre-COVID even? I think
so. I just remember in the newspaper that we all read but don't admit reading, the Bild Zeitung.
Which one is that?
Yeah, exactly. There was a big report that a lot of them had gotten stuck, I think, on some islands or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very interesting how that business works. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the loyalty programs at Delta. I was really interested in that. So, obviously you acquire all these points, especially if you are a frequent flyer with Delta, and then you have some other cards, which I think a lot of business travelers have, and so how big of a role does that play, like getting that integrated into Delta Vacations or getting that frequent travel? I'm assuming that frequent traveler, you really would want that person to end up booking with Delta Vacations as well, right?
Yeah, we see, I mean, the loyalty program was, I mean, historically only pegged to flight, right? You earn miles when you fly, and then the credit cards came about as an avenue to earn more miles. But then I think that ecosystem is really expanding. Delta wants to, associate with friends or businesses, right, that fit into that ecosystem, that have this same Delta brand values, and that really help create a brand benefit all across. So with that, Delta Vacation is just an extension of this in the broader Delta ecosystem. We are a subsidiary. We only use Delta flights. So with us, we announced last year that you can actually earn loyalty miles and MQD status while booking with Delta Vacations, and that just made sense for us, giving us being part of the broader ecosystem. And not only can you actually earn, you can also redeem. So you can use any part of your mileage balance as form of payment.
Yeah.
And then that really helps customer. We talk about that status run or however mileage run at the end of the year. We see that in the fourth quarter. And instead of, I mean, we see people do crazy things, right?
Really?
Tell us some. They take like 3 trips, the week before Christmas or between Christmas or New Year's to really get their status. But now you can say, hey, or you take your family, you spend, a weekend before Christmas in New York and look at go to Rockefeller Center, do some fun things, and you actually earn the same amount of MQDs, and you can get your status this way, and we take a little bit of that pressure off of something that you may already have been planning to do anyway.
Well, and I think that might be a much better sell at home than 2 or 3 more business trips, right?
Yes.
Like to take everybody and go. Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, it's obviously I'm very familiar with the app, since I fly a bunch with Delta.
Yeah.
And how much is in the plans there to build that out more to capture it?
Yeah.
If I'm really honest, it's just customer feedback.
Yeah,
I don't see much Delta Vacations that someone is encouraging me. Hey, spend your miles with me on. I told you at lunch I have 5 kids, and we travel quite frequently. And then I have used some American Express going through that avenue, just because they market it very well, right? With Delta, I haven't seen them, making me aware in the app or otherwise. Or no one has called me. I don't want to put you on the spot. I'm just.
No.
Okay, yeah.
So first of all, we would love to have you book with us with 5 kids. It would be absolutely amazing. So there are two parts here to answer that. First is getting Delta real estate. You are competing with a lot of other things, right? There is a lot of
Uber, Starbucks.
products. Yeah, but also,
Yeah.
certain products, maybe Delta wants to talk to you about, the new Comfort Basic product. You won't be the target for that, but there could be,
Yeah.
and you have to, so we only can target you so many times a year, otherwise you will check out, right? So
Okay.
you have to find yourself queuing for that real estate, communication, but also how you show up in the app or how you show up online. We want to do that more, and we need to do that more, given that you are a loyal Delta customer but have not yet heard really of Delta Vacations or knew about the value proposition.
I have heard of them,
but
let me just put it this way. I could be marketed. I'm out of sales. I'm a sales professional, right?
Yeah.
I could be sold much harder.
Yes.
I mean, like it's, and I think probably others do. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to find these ways to engage. The other pieces, we still currently have certain themes. So we have self-service themes, what you can do with your flight today on the app, you cannot necessarily do when you go on a vacation. If you want to change your flight today to tomorrow, you can do that. If you want to change a Delta vacation to tomorrow, you can't do that because you have all these downline effects. It's not just your flight. You have to contact a transportation company. You have to cancel your hotel night. You need to do all these things. So we are working very, very hard on figuring out how we can offer that up to you seamlessly, because if we want to attract a medallion customer, we need to be able to service that customer the way they are used to within the Delta ecosystem. So there will be more and more coming when we are fully ready to do so. Yeah.
So tell us about Delta Vacation Utopia. Like, what would you would love to see? Like, if you could do this and it would happen.
I would love to see a full Delta integration with our customers. So whenever you step on that plane or at any part of your journey, when you enter that bus or private shuttle, when you land in Cancun, to when you check in at the hotel desk or take your private catamaran tour, I would love for you to be recognized, for your medallion status, and really treated and serviced with those same Delta brand standards that we have, right? The friendly smile, the welcoming, the elevating, everything that goes with the Delta brands. And we are there with some partners. We are not there with others, but I would love to have this fully integrated experience. When you log on your seat back on the plane, I want you to say, "Oh, hey, you're going on your Delta vacation to Cancun. Enjoy. Have you considered doing this trip?"
Yeah.
Like things like that that we are working on. But that would be my vision for where I would love to take the brand.
We talked about that at lunch. Like, if anybody who's ever traveled to Cancun, you come out with, I think you said 200, I think it's more like 2,000 people walking out, and then you go through that alley where you have all these bus operators trying to sell you a fare or the first beer or whatever they're selling. Yeah. And then if you could have on the app the opportunity to see, okay, hey, here's my shuttle, almost like an Uber arriving within 1 minute. Yeah. I can see how that, and I can also see how extremely complex that is to get all these systems lined up to provide this kind of service. I guess getting back to AI, there'll be incredible opportunities coming up, getting some of these things integrated. But then at the same time, you have the challenge that some of these operators are quite small. And so then you probably have a lot of changes in the background that you constantly have to deal with. So it probably always takes that team that kind of works that area, right? Yeah. Yeah.
But what I would love to have AI do is plan you a trip within the confines of what we offer, right? Okay. I mean, there are so many opportunities and so many things we sell. We cannot offer you up today on our homepage, given some technology constraints. You will get it when you call in, but you may not get it on our homepage today because there's just too many things to show. But if you could have an AI version where you say, hey, I want to go here, this is what I value as a traveler, this is who I'm going with, and that's what they like to do. I would love to scrape in the, in our big universe of what we have to offer and put that trip together, and then you hit, book, and it will book that for you.
Interesting, yeah. Because how large is the percentage of customers that actually say, okay, I want to go on my trip with my 2 kids. I'm going to call someone at Delta Vacation and tell them I want to go to, I don't know, Turks and Caicos. We talked about that, and then you have a human being on the other line? I'm like, okay, we have these and these options. And how large is that percentage of the customer? Is
that calls in today, that does that, is probably a third of our people that call in, and a lot is because some of the more complex trips we cannot offer up yet on our homepage. If you want to fly into Amsterdam, make your way down to Paris, through Brussels. It's a little, and then fly out from Paris. It's a little bit complicated for us to book that today. It won't be in the future. It is today. You need to pick up the phone. So some of this 1/3 is driven by just, some technical limitations today that will probably go down. But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting that it is 1/3, and that they are at least calling you and not circumventing you to go in somewhere else. Okay. Is there some trips that are so high in complexity that you send them back to the travel agents to work with them, or?
I think sometimes yes. If we know that a travel agent is specialized in something, particular destination or types of travel, we have a referral sheet, where we would maybe then refer you back and say, hey, maybe you want to work with that person.
We want to work with that person, okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned Hawaii. How big of a business is that for you?
It's pretty big. I think it's probably our 4th destination right now. Yeah.
Really? Okay. I mean, it's in the US. If you live in the US, and maybe you haven't seen much outside of the US, but I think Hawaii is on target for most Americans to see eventually,
Yeah, and Hawaii was not in demand as much for a few years, but lately since last year it has really come back. I think as there was some macroeconomic, maybe concerns a little bit. I think people like to stay within the US. We have definitely seen that trend of more domestic travel, and Hawaii was always very, very expensive. I mean, we are working with the tourism board and with the hotels a lot, and say, hey, you're essentially competing with a trip to Europe. If someone sitting in Atlanta or South America, right? This is all within that flight radius. If you really want to, but you really are. I'm not saying it's a Mexico destination. It's very, very different, but it is still this, sun beach vacation.
Yep.
There has to be a little bit of relief on the hotel cost.
Yeah.
And that has finally happened. So all these things, paired together has really stimulated quite some demand.
Interesting. So there is the will of the Hawaiian Tourism Board to...
They have many hotel rooms to fill.
Yeah,
yes.
okay, I can see that. Yeah.
And the Maui wildfires have put a damper a little bit also. On Hawaii, there was a little bit of mixed messaging on... We want tourists. No, we don't want tourists.
Right.
So, but now that is all coming back.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. I actually spent 6 months on Maui. Those were my first 6 months in the U.S.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Well, what a great introduction.
I know. I was really disappointed when I got to Atlanta. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's an absolutely beautiful island, and it was horrific to see that the Kahului. No, it's not Kahului. It's the Lanai area was all burned down. Lahaina. That's it. Sorry. Yeah. Lanai is the little island in front of Maui. Yeah. Kahului is where the airport is, and I actually stayed in Kihei. But
nice.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting how that works. I didn't know. And then you also mentioned Florida and Las Vegas, which is so interesting. So Las Vegas, this would be a gambling trip, or is
I think Las Vegas has super evolved. I think it's with all I think they cater now to every generation, every gender. I feel like it's the cultural shows. It really established themselves as a food destination. So it's a lot of still, longer weekend trips, where you see sometimes families taking it, but also a destination that has grappled with really increased prices. I mean, you see a lot of these blogs where it talks about the $18, latte macchiato that they're selling. So definitely will be interesting to watch where Vegas goes.
Develops. Because we've gone through so many things, right? You have the gambling, you have all the... I've been so many times to Vegas for trade shows, so I'm kind of over it, to be honest with you. But I do love the Hoover Dam and the Grand Canyon. I mean, everything is so in such closing or driving distance. And then Florida, I mean, is this Key West? Are we talking about Miami or all of the above.
It's all across Florida, really. I mean, a lot of this used to be Orlando and surroundings, but now
the parks,
it's
that makes sense. Yeah.
But now it's really down the East Coast and West Coast, all the tourist towns where people want to go.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that Asia is super hot right now, so to say. What are some of the other hot spots where you that are really big travel where you see a lot of demand right now?
It's off the beaten path Europe, like everything that's, outside the big cities. I mean, Amalfi Coast is a favorite. Sicily was huge hit for us, but then South America too. I mean, Lima, there is a lot really food city, but then also what you can do surrounding. So a lot of that.
Do you have how many connections do you currently have in offering on the Delta Vacation side as well?
We have 300 destinations.
300 destinations. Wow, that's incredible. And then of those are many in Europe, I'm assuming. Yeah, okay, yeah. Very, very interesting how big. How is it with the economy? I think we're all experiencing right now there's major inflation. I think it's being seen in DC as well. They're trying to do something about it. Inflation is slowing, but it's inflated a lot since 2019. What do you see in your consumer? Like, is there any change in behavior?
So luckily for us, it's we are catered a lot to the premium segment. We only have 4 and 5 star hotels. The clamping is not 4 and 5 star.
Yeah. Okay.
95% is 4 and 5 star. And that segment continues to be very, very resilient to some of these inflation numbers. I think a lot has changed in people's mind through COVID as well, where, it was like, life is precious. We want to spend it with family.
It's true.
We want to have these experiences. Yeah. Our segment does not cut there. I think that's still kind of the case that people like to go there. What we hear, and we don't do much of that, is a lot of these destination weddings or, like these more extravagant things that really can add up quickly.
Yeah.
They are falling off, but that family vacation in the premium segment has really not yet taken a big hit.
Yeah,
we've seen the FAA is a little bit different story because that's not necessarily economically driven. It's really that anxiety, like, I don't want to get stuck at an airport, or sit there for
we talked about
5
that too.
hours.
How true is that? Like, from your experience or from your data that you're looking at, is this overblown?
It's media hype, but and that always hurts us a little bit. When the US comes out with a travel warning for Jamaica and makes it level 3, we see that immediately in bookings, even though nothing has really changed.
Right.
Going to Jamaica is still very, very safe to go to your hotel and stay in certain areas, but some of these media headlines definitely have an outsized impact on our bookings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of all this, like back in the day it was Zika, then you had COVID, and didn't you mention you only had 2 international flights? Isn't that true?
What during COVID? Yeah, 2 transatlantic.
This is crazy.
Yeah, we talked about that. I had so obviously one thing that airline leaders or travel leaders, what you always will find with them, and maybe for any leader for that matter, but I think especially in the airline, is that resilience, because you just work through so many things, and it's always like, what is next? I mean, you're never done, because there's so much that can go wrong when people travel. During COVID, we all have our COVID stories. Everyone had their struggles to go through. Mine was, I was in Amsterdam. I was leading the transatlantic teams that managed the flights going across the ocean. And that was probably the scariest experience I had working in the airline industry. When, Europe was kind of the first one, started Northern Italy. And then once the US border closed, we were down to 2 flights out of Amsterdam, and that was really, really scary, because I know we had the few people that were on were doctors or, emergency helpers. And that's when I really was like, I don't know if this industry can recover from
it. Yeah. I clearly remember this when everything was grounded, and I got out in March 2020, right? March 2020. I was in the Frankfurt area when the Northern Italy cases were coming up, and then I got back, and so I was really glad. Yeah. And to your earlier point, it's interesting, because we talk right now about a K-shaped recovery, right? Like to where you have the high earners kind of driving the economy, right? While the other half, so to say, is really suffering from all the inflation. But I guess if you cater to the top of the K, then that could really help you for your business. I would say. Yeah. Do you have data on this? Like how much of your vacation gets booked? You might not be able to talk about this. How much of your vacation gets booked through credit cards? How much is paid of it in cash? Like, how does this work?
I don't know that. I don't know if I could tell you, but I don't actually have the answer to that.
Yeah.
I know that we have by now pay later options that people use. We don't see a high take rate for that, but we have it available. When you book such a high value trip, you usually have you have to put a down deposit, on your vacation, but then you have some time actually until final payment is due, which kind of helps you. We always recommend travel insurance. We have a cancel for any reason. So if at any point in time you say, hey, I just can't do this anymore,
or
there's always that option, but I don't know the exact data on that. Yeah.
And then your I think they call them marketing avatars, right? Isn't that what it is? Like the ideal customer. I know that Costco, for example, they came out one time and they said, hey, we sell memberships to people that make six figures, right? Over $100,000. Can you share what that is? Like who are you guys catering to?
I mean, for us, it's really the Sky Miles and primarily the medallion customer, that takes 2 or 3 leisure trips a year that, are familiar with the Delta product, value new destinations and want to come back for more.
So it's interesting because you have all the data, right? You can see where they're flying and what they're spending and how many people they're taking. So it'd be easy to tap into that customer. It's pretty excellent to have a customer base already at hand. Can you talk, and I think we're running almost to the end here, but tell us a little bit about Delta as an employer. It's such a important part of the city, right? You mentioned a little bit at lunch. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about it, how great of employer it is.
Yeah. I really fell in love with Delta, and honestly, that keeps me in Atlanta. I started during my MBA, go to those career fairs, and use all those opportunities. And every Delta person I talked to was so enthusiastic and so appreciative of and proud of working at Delta. And it happened over and over and over again. I was like, okay, but the first 2 I thought, okay, they are here for a reason, right? They want to recruit you. Right. But then it was like, it's almost in their DNA, so I was like, this is where I want to work. And I found that to be true. I mean, the secret sauce of Delta is really the people. There is this pride helping each other, the open door policy, that family community. We have so many things where people give, if someone has like a personal tragedy, I mean, to see people just rally around that person, or if someone needs help, really that willingness to always help. And I hope you as a Delta customer can see that really throughout the company. And we are always encouraged to learn about other departments. Like if I want to move to another department, it's very, very easy. Those conversations are not hard. And in some companies, they're very hard. If you want to say, hey, I'm now done doing revenue management, I want to experience sales, or hey, put me at the front desk in the airport. I really would love that experience. It's welcomed. It's not looked at. And even capability-wise, we just a few years ago looked at every single job description. Was like, do you need a bachelor's degree? Do you need an MBA for that? Because often it's really certain skill sets you may not need that experience for, and we
passing on a lot of good talent for no reason.
Yes, and we implemented these programs where we bring frontline employees with ambition and drive, that may had not the opportunity to get that education early on, to come over and work in revenue management. And many times, or in our reservation center, and many times we have seen the greatest success stories, and that creates loyalty, and that, to a company, and really that pride in working for Delta. Yeah,
you mentioned at lunch too, which I think is so awesome, and actually mirrors what we heard in our last episode with Dietmar Exler at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You mentioned, your headquarters obviously completely connected to the Atlanta airport, right? I mean, it's one and the same almost,
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that you actually are going to the airport, right? Your employees to actually see what's going. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we are encouraged, or actually sometimes required, I should say, but in a really, really good way,
sure.
To engage with our frontline personnel. So it's a program that's called Behind the Wings, where we go often with our office teams really to the airport for like 4 or 5 hours a day. We put on the blue vests. You may have seen them in the airport. You will now see them.
I will now see them, yes.
You will now see them. And really put ourselves in the shoes of what some of these frontline agents do. And I mean, I'm telling you, I'm exhausted when I walk out of there. You know, just the questions you have to field and the variety of problems. And you get, we were just there a few weeks ago. I had someone probably in his 40s, and he came and was visibly nervous. And I was like, "Can I help you? What's going on?" He was like, "I just got a new job. I never stepped a foot on an airplane, but they require me to fly, and I have to go to my first meeting." And you're like, "Oh my God, you don't even, as frequent traveler, you don't even think about that, right?" So step by step, I walked with him. Here's the check-in counter, and this is what you do next, and it's just good to really also keep in touch with your customer, but also with your frontline employees.
Yeah, that is awesome. I absolutely love it. I think that's. I think so many American companies do that very, very well. Talk a little bit about my wife's job, and they do that equally well. And I think it's super valuable. Yeah, this is a really interesting conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. From now on, everybody, Delta Vacations. No,
yes.
No, but I'll give you a chance to quickly let people know really quick where to go for Delta Vacations, maybe where they can find you personally.
Yeah, of course. I mean, go to our homepage or call our West Center. I would actually even recommend that. Those are our experts. But really appreciate the time and talk a little bit about us as a company and where we're heading.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again, Katrin, and all the best.
Thank you so much.